So the first new specialist character has been released in Black Ops 4, and boy does she pack a serious punch. If you thought some of the standard specialist weapons and abilities were annoying, you haven't seen anything yet. The new character, of course, is named Zero. Her ability is called the Disruptor, and her weapon is called the Ice Pick. Now I'm going to be doing a thorough review of both of these items in this video, as well as give a few tips as to how to best utilize this specialist character. Now I know other content creators have done videos on these two things already, including one of my favorite YouTubers, The Exclusive Ace. However, even after watching his video, I can assure you that I have several things to make note of that he completely disregarded, including how to counter both of these items. So if you think you already know everything there is to know here, I'm determined to prove you wrong. We're going to focus on the weapon first, which as I mentioned earlier is called the Ice Pick. The in-game description says, a powerful hacking device that disables enemies and steals or destroys their equipment. So first off, let's talk charge times. Believe it or not, this weapon charges on the faster side of things. It takes approximately 7 minutes without equipment charge to earn the Ice Pick. Now keep in mind here that this is for Team Deathmatch, and it assumes you're just standing completely still. Other game modes have different charge times, typically slower than Team Deathmatch. I estimated that for every 100 score you earn, you cut about 30 seconds off the timer. So as an average player myself, I was earning 2 ice picks per game with about 20 kills. Of note, this 7-minute charge time is identical to Crash's TAC 5, so that might give you a better comparison. Now with the equipment charge gear piece, the 7 minutes is reduced to about 5 minutes. Now this wasn't much of a time shave to get me more than 2 per match on average, and this obviously helps out her ability a lot more, which we'll discuss in a bit. So how does the Ice Pick work? Upon activation, you'll whip out a monstrosity of a device. I honestly don't know what this is. It looks as though an iPad slept with a divorced and broken laptop and then crapped out a duct-taped monitor. You'll no doubt be overwhelmed the first few times you use this. Luckily, the interface is easy to understand. So as you can see in this example, there's 3 categories here: hack, destroy, and players. Obviously, anything displaying in hack is something you can steal and take over. Anything in destroy will be as if you shot it with a rocket launcher, and anything under players is who you'll cause mayhem to. At this point, there's no way to pick what to do first. It always goes in that order. You'll also note that at the top it says hit square to hack. If you don't push this button, nothing will happen and you can actually safely put your Frankenstein tablet away without losing it. The moment you press square, the weapon begins. And upon doing so, the hack prompt changes to accelerate hack. Now if you press this, you'll speed up the hacking and destroying process. Now this is one thing I couldn't quite understand. There seems to be no drawbacks to accelerating a hack. So that begs the question, why would you not press this? The times to hack and destroy are quite literally cut in half when you push this prompt. And if there's no penalty for doing so, then why not? If anyone knows a drawback to this, let me know in the comments section, but I couldn't find anything. Regardless if you press this accelerate button or not, the process will automatically begin. It'll take a good chunk of time depending on how many things get hacked or destroyed, as well as how many players are in your game. And I highly recommend not doing this in the open. Even safely behind cover, the amount of time it takes to get through everything here can still get you killed. So what exactly happens to players when they get ice picked? As you can see here, your screen turns to chaos. And this is really reminiscent of the system hack from Advanced Warfare, minus a big skull in the center of the screen, of course. Your entire display gets mucked up. You can't tell how much ammo you have, how much health you have, how many score streak points, or even what equipment you have available. In addition, your minimap starts to get phony dots appearing all over, which is exactly what the decoy grenade did from the original Black Ops. Needless to say, this definitely causes everyone affected to have a bad time. You're also not allowed to call in your specialist weapon or use your abilities if either were available in the first place, nor can you call in any score streaks you had. I should mention that if you have a specialist weapon out before the ice pick is initiated, you'll still be able to shoot it even under these effects. Now oddly enough, you can only heal 1 single time while you're hacked. If you try to heal a second time, you're not able to. So any damage you take after your initial healing will be permanent until the hacking effect fades. Now the other major downfall to this hacking effect is the fact that you give off an incredibly loud static noise. Listen here as to just how loud this is. As you heard, it's incredibly noticeable. Once you get into a live match, you'll realize how important this becomes in locating your enemies. You can hear this from miles away. Trust me, this static noise is a godsend when it comes to getting easy kills. Now the point values for the ice pick vary depending on what you hack or destroy. The only constant values are hacking enemy players, which gives you 10 points per player hacked. In addition, for every hacked person that gets killed by a teammate, you'll receive 15 points for an ice pick assist. Lastly, for every hacked person you yourself kill, you'll receive a 25 point bonus, so 125 points per kill in TDM. Now by the way, did I mention that this ice pick effect lasts a whopping 30 seconds? In Ace's video, he said there's no counter to this, but in fact, there's two ways to counter it. The first way is with Tac Mask. If you're wearing this perk when you get ice picked, the duration is cut in half to 15 seconds. While clearly not as painful as 30 seconds, it's still a long time to endure all these effects. The second way to counter the ice pick is one I haven't seen many people mention. The moment someone uses the ice pick, the entire game knows about it. So everyone's been asking for the orbital VSAT to come back to Black Ops 4, and here it is. Sort of, at least. An orange-colored signal will appear above the hacker's head for approximately 8.7 seconds. It almost looks like a Wi-Fi signal. During this time frame, everyone on the entire map will be able to see the hacker in real time. That means if you look at your mini-map, her icon will be moving as she does. Likewise, the overview of the map also displays her whereabouts in real time, just like an orbital VSAT would. You can even see this signal through walls and at every line of sight. So basically, you get a big fat "Here I am" sign above your head when you use the ice pick for almost 10 seconds. Now, if you successfully find and kill the hacker, the effects get dropped entirely. However, the drawback is, it's only for you yourself. Your teammates will still have those effects on them. Only the person that kills the hacker gets relief. Now, you or your teammates can still kill her even after this icon has gone away, and it'll still take the hacking effects off you. So those are the two counters. Tac Mask cuts it in half, and finding and killing the hacker while using the orbital VSAT tag above her head will also end these effects. The next topic at hand is what exactly the ice pick can hack and or destroy. So I tested everything in the game, from items to specialists to score streaks. Let's first start out with the specialists. Out of all the abilities and weapons available, only 6 of these can be ice picked. First is Crash's Assault Pack. This one can actually be hacked, and it'll give you 10 points for doing so, as well as full control over the pack. Next are Nomad's Mesh Mines. These are also hackable, which means they'll turn from enemies to your own. Now for some reason, you get 0 points for hacking these, which I assume is a glitch. Next up is the ever-annoying Seeker device from Prophet. Luckily though, this is hackable, and it'll give you 10 points as well as control over it to seek out enemies. Recon's Sensor Dart also makes the hackable list, giving you 10 points for doing so and a nice recon item at your disposal. Next is Seraph's Tac Deploy. Now oddly enough, this one is destroyable and not hackable. I would have assumed that you could take over it, but that's not the case. And you also get 0 points for destroying it. Lastly, Torque's Barricade is completely hackable. You'll get 10 points for doing so, and then it'll swap sides to your team, ready to barbecue some black sock wearing Wiswogs. So those are the only 6 things specialist related that can be ice picked. Everything else was not affected. Next, let's take a look at score streaks. So first off, both the UAV and the counter UAV are hackable. You get 10 points per hacked unit. Now of note here, you can fully have yourself a hack war if you want to. What I mean is, if you put up a counter UAV for example, and then the enemy hacks it, you can then hack it right back and take control of it again. Now of course, its duration never resets, so you'll likely not get much time out of it, but it is possible. Also of note, if you rehack a UAV or a counter UAV, you can actually see it in the sky. Normally, you can only see enemy UAVs or counter UAVs, so it's actually really weird to witness your own up there. Next up is the RC car, and oddly, this is in the destroyable category. In Black Ops 3, the Black Hat actually took control of the car, so it's strange that they made it destroyable and not hackable. You do get 50 points for ice picking it, however. Likewise, the Dart is only destroyable, but it grants you a whopping 150 points for doing so. Now the care package is a bit confusing. It is hackable, and it'll give you 10 points for doing so. However, if you hack it before it drops from the plane, you won't actually get to capture it faster as if it were your own. If you ice pick it once it's on the ground, then and only then will it give you the appropriate capture speed. Now the Hellstorm missile is also a bit fluky here. You can destroy it for 10 points, but it's incredibly hard to do so. If you try to ice pick it right away, nothing happens. You have to wait until it's actually coming down, and by that point it's probably going full speed, so it's incredibly hard to destroy. With that said, it is possible, just not likely. Now believe it or not, the lightning strike is the only score streak in the entire game that can't be ice picked. It can't be hacked or destroyed, so it's a safe bet to run every match, although it's actually really bad in this game. Speaking of bad score streaks, the sentry gun is fully hackable, and with an incredibly fast time as well. This will give you 25 points for hacking it. The Mantis, however, is a bit picky. For some reason, it's not hackable, but rather destroyable. You can't destroy the chopper that drops the Mantis off for some reason. It only becomes destroyable once it's on the ground. Then it gets destroyed almost instantly with no effort whatsoever, giving you 150 points for doing so. Now the drone squad is hackable, which is a nice treat for those that can succeed in doing so, as it'll be positioned right above the original owner's face and cold cock him into oblivion. You get 25 points for hacking this. Now I assume that the sniper's nest and the attack chopper would function the same with the ice pick, but they don't. The sniper's nest gets destroyed for 150 points, and the attack chopper is hackable, which only gives you 25 points. Next up is the strike team. So unlike the Mantis here, the strike team's deployment chopper is destroyable. Oddly enough, you get 0 points for doing this. What you do get is a satisfying drop of 2 corpses from the sky. Now if you let the strike team land first, then there's no effect at all. You can't hack or destroy the deployed soldiers, so make sure you hit the chopper before they land. Now the Thresher gets destroyed fairly quickly for 150 points, but since it's such a bad streak in the first place, you likely won't even realize it's gone. Now lastly, the gunship. This is only destroyable, and it takes the longest out of any streak to destroy. So this is a prime example of why you should always hit the accelerator button with the ice pick. Without doing this, it takes 10 seconds to destroy. With the acceleration, however, it only takes 5 seconds. Now imagine equipping this streak, going on a massive tear, and then having some newbie booby with 3 kills earn an ice pick and destroy it in 5 seconds. Absolutely brutal. So that's the extent of Zero's ice pick. Without a doubt, one of the best weapons in the game. So how about her ability, the Disruptor? The in-game description states that it's an EMP grenade that disrupts enemy equipment and HUDs. Now I was pleasantly surprised at how efficient this grenade really is. So first off, the charge time. In Team Deathmatch, without moving, it charges every 68.5 seconds. With the equipment charge gear piece, the charge time is reduced to every 47 seconds. So on average, I would get about 4 to 6 of these every match with equipment charge, which is quite a lot if you ask me. Now for every enemy player you disrupt with this, you get 10 points. And just like with the ice pick, you also receive assist points, but only 15 instead of 25. You do receive a 25 kill bonus for killing a disrupted player, however. Now when you get hit by one of these grenades, this is what your screen will look like. Unlike the ice pick, your screen won't go haywire. Instead, it'll be scrambled. You won't be able to see any bit of information at all. You can still shoot while under these effects, but you can't call in score streaks, nor can you use your specialist weapon. You can, however, use your specialist abilities. Also, just like the ice pick, if you have a specialist weapon out before getting disrupted, you can still use it while being under the effects. You can also still heal while under these EMP effects. The duration of this effect only lasts 5 seconds, but it's long enough to muck you up momentarily. So the counter to this is Tac Mask. Unlike with the ice pick, Tac Mask completely counters this disruptor. You won't get scrambled at all, and you'll receive no effects whatsoever. The Disruptor Blast doesn't cause any damage, by the way. The only way it deals damage is with a direct impact hit, and this only does 15 damage. Now before we talk about what it can destroy, let's talk about its characteristics. This thing is basically made out of flubber. If you throw it straight down, it bounces like Nickelodeon gack. In fact, if you look straight up and launch it into the sky, it'll come down and bounce higher than Michael Jordan before blowing up. If you thought its ups were impressive, wait until you see the range on this sucker. I calculated the distance to be about 18 meters, which is this distance on Nuketown. This is a massive blast radius. And by the way, it also works through walls, which makes it absolutely devastating in public matches. Now instead of showing you each and every test I did, I've compiled a chart for each category, which I'll display and go over, only highlighting things I deemed important. Let's first talk about the specialists. As you can see here, quite a few things get affected. Crash's Assault Pack will net you 50 points for disrupting. Likewise, Nomad's Mesh Mines are 50 points each. So if you find a whole bunch of these connected, you can get some serious points. Prophet's Pesky Seeker Grenade is also taken out for 50 points as well. It should be of no surprise that the Tac Deploy is also on this list. What is surprising is that the Razor Wire gets destroyed. I would have assumed only electrical type things would be affected here. but both Razor Wire and the Assault Pack seem to be exceptions. Now these last two things I need to show examples of. First, Firebreak's Reactor Core. The Disruptor Grenade is actually a great counter to this. You only get 10 points for doing so, but it completely stops Firebreak in his tracks. So if you ever find yourself getting burned by a hidden Firebreak and you have a Disruptor Grenade, just chuck it at your feet and let the insane blast radius do all the work for you. Lastly, Recon's Sensor Dart and Vision Pulse are both affected by the Disruption Blast. A Sensor Dart will give you 50 points for disrupting it. Meanwhile, you'll only get 10 points for disrupting a Vision Pulsar. Now it doesn't completely disable the Vision Pulse, only for 1 out of the 3 pulses. As you can see here, the first pulse works as intended, but then I get disrupted. The next pulse will go out, but my enemy is no longer tagged. And then after the effects wear off, the last pulse once again tags my enemy. Now every other specialist weapon or ability that isn't on this chart wasn't affected at all. Now as for score streaks, we've got a little bit of variety here. Surprisingly, the RC car is not disruptible. It gets the static as if it's affected by it, but it won't be destroyed. Conversely, in Black Ops 3, it did get taken out by the EMP grenade. As for the dart, this is also not affected at all. You can safely pilot your dart through as many disruptions as you want. Now the sentry gun warrants an example. Disrupting it nets you a whopping 125 points. It'll be out of commission for its entire duration. So the tip here is to physically destroy it as well for double the points. So disrupt it for 125 and then take it out with your weapon for an additional 125 points. Now this next one hurts my soul. The drone squad is disruptible, but you only get 50 points. It pains me to see my favorite streak destroyed in one foul swoop. Now as for the Mantis, it's technically affected by the disruptor, but it really doesn't do much. It'll temporarily stun it for about 3 seconds. And this is just barely enough time to lock on for one single RPG. So it's definitely not worth wasting your disruptor on it. Now lastly is the trophy system. If you have a trophy system deployed and someone throws a disruptor grenade into its line of sight, it'll snatch it right up. However, if you take advantage of the massive blast radius of the disruptor grenade, you can throw it away from the pickup zone of the trophy system and thus destroy it with the blast. Now I also forgot to mention that the trophy system is definitely hackable by the ice pick. And that, as they say, is that. The new Zero Specialist has 2 of the most awe-inspiring items in the entire game. The variety of uses that the Ice Pick and Disruptor Grenade bring to the table are mind-boggling. I thought some of the other support characters were score streak point machines, but Zero takes the cake. With a precise Disruptor throw, you can easily rack up hundreds of points effortlessly. Likewise, a well-timed ice pick can also net you hundreds quite easily. If you couple in the fact that both of these also grant you assist points, as well as bonuses for you yourself when you kill affected players, score streaks will be flowing to you freely. Couple in the fact that these are both newbie booby friendly, you'll have competitive tryhard players spraying more salt than an ice truck. Just imagine going against a full party of sweats running the gunship, strike team, and drone squad. A single ice pick could dismantle all 3 of these streaks instantly, with the drone squad turning face and attacking the owner in the process. Is it fair that this is the case? No, not at all. Is it fun? Absolutely. I'm sure we've all been in this scenario of joining an in-progress match of a team getting pub stomped. It's great that we now have a way to combat full parties as solo players. However, with that said, it is a bit ridiculous if you think about it. Timmy No Thumbs shouldn't be able to counter a gunship that was properly earned. I'm certain these 2 items will be balanced in the future, but as for now, just remember that TACMAS completely counters the Disruptor, and it also halves the duration of the Ice Pick. In addition, seeking out the Ice Pick hacker by utilizing the orbital VSAT effect of the Wi-Fi signal above her head is also viable. Of course, that doesn't stop the fact that she can gank your hard-earned streaks in a heartbeat. Now if you yourself utilize Zero, don't forget to use the Engineer perk so you can throw your Disruptor Grenade in the best spot available, and then let its huge wall-banging blast radius net you some sweet rewards. Just remember to treat the Ice Pick and Disruptor Grenade like a chess piece. Don't blow your load too early, wait for that appropriate time to utilize them, and then strike when it'll hurt your opponents the most.